Good evening and welcome to Poland Daily. I'm Nicholas Richardson and this is the news. The head of the Smolensk subcommittee, Antony Macierewicz, has said that the evidence related to the causes of the Smolensk catastrophe was destroyed and falsified, and this action was supported by the then Prime Minister Donald Tusk's administration. As revealed in the final report published yesterday, the technical cause of the crash was at least 2 explosions that destroyed the plane. Antony Macierewicz, a veteran of the anti-communist opposition, former Minister of Defence and chairman of the Smolensk Crash Investigation Committee, said that the Russians falsified, concealed and destroyed evidence in the Smolensk catastrophe case. According to the subcommittee's findings, the main and indisputable evidence of Russian interference was the explosion in the plane's left wing. Macierewicz met the Gazeta Polska clubs, who have actively followed the investigation for 12 years. This report is the best evidence for launching an investigation in the European Court of Human Rights against the perpetrators of this tragedy and against all those who participated in and supported it. According to Antony Macierewicz, Russian activities were supported by Donald Tusk's administration. In February 2017, I submitted an application to the Public Prosecutor's Office on the grounds that Mr. Donald Tusk had committed an offence under Article 229, that is, that he had committed diplomatic treason. According to analysts, one of the biggest errors in the case of the crash of the Polish plane Tu-154M in Smolensk was the transfer of the investigation to the Russian Investigative Committee. On the 6th of May 2010, less than a month after the Smolensk crash, MPs raised doubts about the way the investigation was being conducted. They tabled a motion for a resolution calling on Donald Tusk to request that the investigation be handed over to the Polish authorities. The motion was rejected by the entire government coalition, which decided to leave the investigation in the hands of Vladimir Putin and to hand over the wreckage and all evidence to Russia. The Smolensk subcommittee has confirmed the invalidation of the report of Jerzy Miller's commission of the 29th of July 2011. As confirmed by the former head of the Ministry of Defence, Antony Macierewicz, the cause of the attack on 10th of April over Smolensk was an act of unlawful interference by the Russians on the Tu-154M aeroplane. The Russian invasion of Ukraine has been underway for almost 7 weeks. Currently, military operations are concentrated in the east of the country. There are reports of horrific acts of violence by the Russians against civilians in many places. Today, information has reached the media about an attack with chemical weapons in Mariupol, which killed 3 soldiers. This morning on her Twitter account, Ukrainian parliamentarian Ivana Klimpush reported that the Russians in Mariupol had reached for a new type of weapon. 1.5 hours ago, an unknown substance was used in Mariupol. Victims experience respiratory failure. It is most likely a chemical weapon. This is a red line beyond which the world must destroy the economy of despotism. We demand a full embargo on all fuels from Russia and heavy weapons to Ukraine now. Meanwhile, Ukrainian troops are preparing for the final battle to take control of the port city of Mariupol. At the same time, they admit that they are running out of ammunition. The fighting for the city has been extremely heavy since the beginning of the war. It is estimated that at least 10,000 people have died and 90% of the buildings in the city have been destroyed. My grandson went outside. We all went into the street. I was the last one left, and then the explosion happened. We were left with nothing. We live in basements. This is a horror story. For what? Tell me, for what? What are we guilty of? In whose eyes are we guilty? My mother-in-law was born in 1936 and survived the Leningrad blockade. She was an honorary employee of the fish farm of the Russian Federation and had a Russian passport. She is now dead. There's nothing left. I tell you, I live in the bathroom. I have a small bathroom and a cooker. And that's it. There is no roof. There is nothing. Last night, there was also a rocket attack in the Khmelnytskyi region. The target of the attack was the area of the military airfield where the ammunition depot was located. The rocket fire resulted in a fire which was extinguished. Residents are slowly returning to Irpin, one of the cities near Kiev, where the Russians committed mass atrocities against civilians. My house is destroyed. The roof, windows smashed by bullets. Everything will have to be renovated from scratch. President Zelensky promised that there would be compensation. We have to believe that the state will help us. We have to be optimistic. I was in Irpin all the time. I was not leaving, but I was in another district. Our territorial defense was no longer allowed into this area because these blocks were occupied by Russian troops. As General Dariusz Vronsky points out, the recent actions, including the use of chemical weapons and the concentration of troops in eastern Ukraine, mark a difficult time for the Russians. This, in turn, may give hope to Ukraine that it is entering a crucial phase of the war. Ukraine, through its great commitment and willingness to defend its homeland, has shown that it is not only able to defend the area, but also to force the enemy to retreat, to abandon the capture of subsequent locations. The greatest success is the defense of Kiev. I believe that there will not be another such attempt. Therefore, Ukraine has a chance to win this war with the support of its allies. According to the General Staff of the Ukrainian Armed Forces, Russian losses continue to mount. Already more than 19,500 soldiers have died during the war in Ukraine. The army has lost 732 tanks and almost 2,000 armoured personnel carriers, as well as 157 aircraft.
Russian leader Vladimir Putin said his military aims in Ukraine are noble and that the Bucha massacre was staged by Ukrainians. In his first public comments on the conflict in more than a week, Putin vowed that his troops would win and goaded the West for failing to bring Moscow to heel. The speech was made in the Vostochny Cosmodrome, 3,450 miles east of Moscow.
Putin said Russia had no choice but to fight because it had to defend the Russian speakers of eastern Ukraine and to prevent its former Soviet neighbour from becoming an anti-Russian springboard for Moscow's enemies. Mind you, yesterday evening I was told that the Ukrainian side had changed something again. I'm not aware of what exactly yet. But such inconsistency in approaching key issues creates some difficulties in reaching a final agreement, acceptable for everyone, in the course of negotiations. And until that happens, the military operation will continue until its full completion and the achievement of the targets set at the start of the operation. The people in those countries face problems created by such a policy. Yes, the general mood, anti-Russian hysteria, makes itself felt, but time will put everything in its place. I can assure you, when people face rising prices of petrol, food and an unprecedented inflation rate, it will impact domestic political processes. They wanted very much that everything that is happening would impact domestic political processes in Russia. They always make that kind of mistake, without understanding that when faced with difficult conditions, Russian people always unite. The West has condemned the war as a brutal imperial-style land grab, targeting a sovereign country. Ukraine says it is fighting for its survival after Putin annexed Crimea in 2014 and on the 25th of February recognized two of its rebel regions as sovereign. Putin, who had been ubiquitous on Russian television in the early days of the war, had largely retreated from public view since Russia's withdrawal from northern Ukraine 2 weeks ago.
Another spy has been detained. A Russian citizen has been identified as conducting intelligence activities to the detriment of the Republic of Poland. The man is being held by the military police and has heard the charges against him, said Stanisław Żaryn, spokesman for the minister's coordinator of special services.
The military counterintelligence service has identified a man who was carrying out espionage activities in Poland for the intelligence service of the Russian Federation. The man was arrested, charged with espionage, and placed under detention for 3 months. According to the materials of the Internal Security Agency, the man, on the orders of Russia, collected information on the units of the Polish army, their numbers, and allied units stationed in Poland. In view of the area of activity, we regard this as a real threat to national security. The man has lived in Poland for 18 years and has conducted business here and, as the evidence indicates, also espionage activities. The case is developing and there may be further actions in this investigation.
That's the news. Thank you for watching. Stay with us for the weather, Poland Daily Business and more programmes. But from me, it's have a good night and a better tomorrow.